as far as for occupational therapists, I wanted to break this up into two areas. So for clients that we would treat that have some kind of secondary trauma, or for us as we experience, something traumatic or have a client that's experienced something traumatic. So for our clients, it's important to understand the client's job and its unique stresses. So like say you have a client coming in and you know for a fact that this client is a social worker, that they're a first responder, something like that. Take that into account and take the fact that, what they've gone through those experiences may be impacting their function. And you need to kind of know how those factors affect their current performance. It's important that we use empathy and to develop therapeutic rapport. So not discounting their emotions. So this can happen a lot too, where people think, oh, well, you didn't go through it. This isn't your issue. Why are you acting like this? Or why is this affecting you so much? But research has shown that this trauma is real and it really does affect people, and it affects them as if they were the ones experiencing the trauma. And so don't discount their emotions and don't discount their thoughts, because what they're experiencing is real. Identify protective factors. So there's a couple of protective factors that we found that can help you deal with trauma or be protected against future trauma. So one of them is training. And a lot of first responders get this, and medical professionals, and I imagine counselors do too, training on how to deal with a traumatic situation you may experience or someone else may experience, how to deal, mentally with hearing traumatic experiences over and over again. So training is something that they've tried to employ, and it's a big thing to help with this. Spirituality has been seen to be a protective factor against trauma in general. Kind of that thought that, there's something bigger out there. There's, everything happens for a reason. That can kind of help ease the burden of trauma, because, you're kind of able to place it on something else. Access to counseling services. A lot of places do give their employees counseling. Some do not. I had a friend who is a police officer, and I asked her, I said, does the police officer, do they pay for counseling for you? And she was like, no, it's all through, my insurance. I would have to even see if they would take my insurance, kind of thing. So I assumed that you would obviously get counseling services if you were a police officer, but that may not always be true. So it's important that we check these things. And then social support. Social support can really, and having kind of someone to talk to can really lessen the impact of this type of trauma. So we also need to assist with their role definition and promote engagement in non-work related occupations. With a lot of these clients, their work kind of becomes their life. And like I said, they withdraw and avoid those other roles because, their work takes so much out of them. So helping them find some life balance is really important. So they're not just, stewing and sitting in that trauma all day. And then always, make appropriate referrals for when to counseling services, mental health services, other doctors, maybe for medication, that kind of thing. So for us as OTs, I thought it would be important to talk about this, because I don't know about you, but on field work, I know for a fact that I heard some pretty traumatic things, or, experienced some, I left field work crying one time because I had a client that was really young and had cancer, and his wife divorced him, and she wasn't letting him see his kids, and he was going to die. And that was really traumatic. Now, it didn't affect me directly. I didn't know this guy before this, but I definitely experienced that sadness and that grief of just his situation. So now imagine, that was just field work. Now imagine doing this every day for the rest of your life. So it's important that we are able to recognize this in ourselves. So the first thing is recognizing signs of secondary trauma and burnout in yourself, knowing kind of when it is becoming too much, when you feel yourself, becoming apathetic or cut off to your emotions or people around you. It's important to recognize that in ourselves. Utilize psychological services. A lot of insurances now will pay for counseling, so knowing, when it's too much and knowing that, you can talk to people about it. Education and training. So like I said, a lot of facilities offer training, but if your facility doesn't, it might be a good thing to suggest that they offer some training in some trauma management and, self-care. And then practicing self-care. We talk about a resource later for healthcare providers. Well, we will go over some of this self-care stuff.